Welcome to In Pursuit of Magic, where we explore the things that inspire us, connect us, and the magic we find along the way. I'm Matthew Medina, and today's very special guest is an actor, singer, and storyteller, originally from Puerto Rico and making their mark on NYC, Paola V. Hernandez-Tanon. Welcome, Paola. It is an honor to have you on and get to talk about all the exciting things and all the magic you're making. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Course. It's funny seeing all the stuff you're up to and always surrounded by other people. I think that's such a beautiful thing too. I mean, clearly in New York, you're surrounded by a lot of artists and creatives, but sometimes that could also be a lonely journey, especially in a big city. You
Mhm.
don't always know who you're going to connect with and who you're going to mesh with and what experience is going to bring. But it's like great seeing those collabs happen all the time. So I'm very curious because you're definitely very passionate about what it is you do. And so I'm curious
I truly am.
what was your earliest inspirations that made you want to be a performer?
Well, I grew up in a very musical family. My mom writes, my uncle sings, my dad plays the flute. So I was always surrounded by music when I was a kid. In terms of like connecting the dots of like acting, dancing, and singing, I didn't know that that was like a possibility. I didn't know that that was a thing to pursue. I mean, I did theater back home, not knowing what it was. Like, I didn't know or associated what that meant. And it wasn't until I was like in high school, I was probably like maybe like 15, 16 years old. And I had a teacher. His name is Miguel Rosa. He actually was the one who actually came back from New York from studying at, I think it was Marymount Manhattan College, and he was pursuing scenic design. But then he started teaching in our high school classes of musical theater, and that sort of like kind of sparked the idea that that could be a profession, that could be a career, and having somebody who came from New York and experienced it and then showing it to the students around in high school was like something that like I guess pushed me and propelled me to like investigate more and like get curious about that industry. And thank you, Miguel, because here I am in New York City.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes it takes just one person to like ignite that spark. And then I think something you shared is very common with a lot of people I've talked to in that figuring out something you can do that checks a bunch of boxes instead of just one and not limiting yourself is such a freeing kind of vessel for you to put yourself in because you get to juggle so many things. And maybe there's things that you didn't think you could do that you definitely can, and you get to explore a little more and play with. And so as you started to pursue this and like take classes or join things, was there any works that were already created that kind of inspired you more that made you want to say, okay, this seems like fun. I want to be part of stuff like this.
So, my first exposure was Wicked. Like that was my first like live theater that I remember coming to see, and it was like 2008. Like I was just graduating from high school, and like our teacher Miguel Rosa did this trip where we did like musical theater camp and like Broadway dance center classes and all those things. But then we were exposed to Wicked. The magic of seeing the witches, it was just like this is really freaking cool, and seeing that this is an 8 shows a week sort of situation versus in Puerto Rico, we get like a weekend of performances after so much like time invested in rehearsals. But it wasn't until In the Heights came out that I see a big community of Latinos just like being and existing, and there's no drugs, no guns, no like no derogative things about Latinos that we see in the industry or we see in film or TV. It was just people, surviving in New York City, like, and just being proud of who they came from and where they come from. People that moved from Puerto Rico or like our first generation of Latino, and like, it's nice to see that in a very beautiful like picture rather than like being feel like I'm ashamed of being it. If anything, that was the propeller for me to be like, okay, I actually want to drop not drop. I actually finished my degree in marketing and advertising.
Wow.
I did like a year in an advertising agency, and then I literally said to my mom and dad, here's the diploma. I'm actually gonna go to New York and pursue acting. Like literally that was that. And my mom was in a way like she knew that I was gonna leave. She just didn't know it was gonna be New York. And so it was the panic that my parents would have was like, okay, but what are you gonna do with rent? And I was like, rent? What is that? I'll figure it out. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And figure it out I did.
You do.
I ended up studying at Circle Theater School for 2 years. It was a conservatory program. Afterwards, I booked the Rent 20th anniversary tour, and I've been working since. It lucked out. Like it was one of those like even though you have the discipline and you know the commitment for this is a very hard business, and I'm lucky enough to have done that tour and then on forward.
Unbelievable. It's funny though that you mentioned luck because I think forgot what the quote is, but someone said luck is opportunity and hard work meeting at the same point. And I
Mm.
truly believe that. Clearly you had a dream, you put in the work, you made the moves, you took the risks, and opportunities were there. And that doesn't mean everything worked out. I know this industry can be ups and downs, highs and lows, and there's a lot of no's and closed doors. And so I'm wondering when those moments happen, what has gotten to be a help to you to overcome them and push through and keep going, even when kind of everything is making you feel like maybe I should rethink this, because there's always those moments.
I mean, I've had the moments where I'm like, I'm done. And the moment that I'm done, something good happens. It's like, yeah, the business is not done yet with me. um, it is hard. It gets harder the more you think about it and the more you like commit yourself to some of these things because at the end of the day, it is a business. It is a business. And um as actors, we commit blood, sweat, and tears. Um to get the part that we all want, and it just the business sometimes takes a different route, and I luckily have a really good support system not only within my family but like friends, and I can just vent it out because sometimes you just need to express it and explain what happened, and sometimes you try to map things out, and sometimes the equation is 2 plus 2 equals 4, but at the end of the day, it's like I did everything right, and it feels like everything was wrong. And I just recently had a really cool audition that I was like, I'm so right for the show. I'm so right for the show. My agent had sent to me, and she was excited for me. And I normally, when I get very hyped to do auditions of particular shows, I record myself in the audition. I don't know if you're allowed or not, but I always do like a voice memo sort of like recording just to see where my voice is, where the direction is going. Because sometimes when they call you back, you forgot the one note that they gave you in the room, and you just go back to that recording and go, okay, oh yes, you mentioned this. So how do we continue to advance within the direction that they give me? And I remember like going into this audition and I was like, this is a really good audition. This was really good. You hear really good compliments from behind the table. And I'm like, I'm getting a call back. And I sent the audition to my agent and she's like, you ate that audition. I was like, I know. And then we didn't hear anything at all. We haven't heard anything. This was like 3 weeks ago at this point. I'm like, we have to let it go. But no one has heard anything either. So we're like, what is happening? But like I call this relationship like a very toxic relationship where you still go back to the thing that hurts you the most, but you still do it. And we don't like you just love what you do because once you get the opportunity to do it, my God, yes, we are changing lives, we're inspiring people, but at the end of the day, like I choose to do material that is very much right for the age that we're living, the times that we're living. People ask me why do I do Rent all the time, and I'm like because Rent still continues to be one of the most like iconic shows, yes, but it has so many like themes that people forget about, and we need to continue to remember people through art because I believe that art is a great learning tool for people who just don't get it sometimes. Same as In the Heights, same as Men of La Mancha, like those shows continue to like share little things that we're dealing with it. It's a mirror of our lives, it's a mirror of what we experience. But how do we say it pretty? How do we like sound pretty and tell you like things are wrong and you need to be alert that things are actually wrong?
Yeah.
So those are the shows that like I will continue to do until I can't do them anymore.
I mean, agreed. I think what's so beautiful about productions and art in general is that there's this gateway that's created where it can touch people who don't understand people who are not like them or don't come from the same
Mhm.
places and realize the human story that connects them anyway and grow some empathy and some understanding and some context and broaden their mind if they're open to it. It's not always going to happen, but the fact that there's these ways that art can touch people and change minds and change hearts, it's such a beautiful thing. And then on the flip side, those who do already understand, I think it's a beautiful way to let people know you're not alone. Like other people
Mhm.
feel this, they're going through it, and there's more of us. Like find them, find those people. And amidst all of that feeling of community, and I also found it interesting that you record your auditions because, like you said, sometimes you don't even know what the reason is why you weren't called back. And there could be a million reasons. Definitely could have aced it. It could have been perfect. But for whatever little tiny reason that had nothing to do with you, maybe you didn't get a call back. And then there's other times you may not have heard stuff for weeks, and then you may end up getting a call anyway. So
Mm.
it's all this unknown. And I think it's kind of an awesome thing that you found a way to kind of record your own audition to show yourself you killed it. And it
And
doesn't matter.
even when I started auditioning back like more consistently, I was like I hated to record myself. I hated to listen to myself. Even when the age of self tapes became a thing, I'm like I hate looking at myself doing this. I just want to do the thing. And it's interesting because I guess my brain has recalibrated. I guess the experience of doing this so consistently has also helped because sometimes I'll just listen to the audition just for the sake of applauding myself, which we don't get to do that often. We always get to criticize ourselves. And I remember like being on the train listening to my voice in the voice memo, and I'm like, I ate that up. like, like actually giving myself the flowers that sometimes we don't give each other, like ourselves. So it was nice. It's nice to like see the growth and as an actor, as a performer, as a person, just as a person of like being proud of like the little wins that you get. And the win that day was like I did the audition. I committed to the audition. Everything lined up perfectly, which like for different audition seasons, it's just nothing is like happening right and you're like, I just need to go. With this one, everything was lining up. I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, at least that day I succeeded. And then at the end of the day, you have to treat it as if you were going to a class or a work session or a workshop or, you get to share with people behind the table that are most likely rooting for you too. Like, they just see a lot of people, but they're always rooting for you. And that has always been my experience when I talk to casting directors, but they're like, we call you back because we really want you in the room. I'm like, okay, great. That's really cool to hear that. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, and it goes to show what you're bringing to the table. You're meant to be in those rooms. And so I
Hmm.
think when things don't work out, it's never a personal thing, which someone had told me. And that's hard to believe sometimes because a lot of times the dream is so personal to us that it's hard
Hmm.
not to take it personally. And I think,
Oh,
like you
great catch.
said, reassuring yourself, complimenting yourself, and we don't do it often enough. Someone
Hmm.
also told me to practice as if I'm speaking to the kid version of myself. However many years
Mm.
ago, a kid with a dream, what would I say to myself? And that's hard to
Mm.
imagine because I don't think that way all the time. And then once I do, I'm like, oh, I definitely wouldn't be saying half the things I say to myself. And
Mhm,
so that's
mhm,
very difficult to keep in mind, but it's true because we're our own worst critic and we make it personal even if someone else is not. And
mhm,
so to remember that and find a way to applaud ourselves, even for stepping
mhm,
into the room. Like stepping into the room, sometimes it's the hardest
mhm.
part. And so I think showing up is a big deal.
Yes.
You've been a part of a lot of iconic productions like In the Heights, Rent, Rock of Ages. And so I'm very curious, what have you learned from being a part of those big ensembles? And we talked a little bit about community, but how has community been a factor in that?
Listen, I will continue to say that performing back in Puerto Rico has been one of the most gratifying experiences this year. Like I left Puerto Rico 13 years ago already, and I came back to do Rock of Ages with Marco Santana, who was our director. There was just a sense of familiarity and like camaraderie that I I don't get here. You in a way create a new community when you start a new show, even within the Heights. Like as much of Latinos that we are, and we share a lot of like similarities. It just doesn't match with the level of one, the talent that I get to experience in Puerto Rico. It's it's warm. Everything is warm, and it's like everybody's doing the same thing. There was no egos. We just wanted to do the show. We just wanted to have fun. And I think Rock of Ages is also one of those shows where it's like we're just having fun. We're telling you the story, but we're having fun while at it. It's like there's not too much drama that like makes you feel so
Yeah.
emotionally drained. And so, but at the end of the day, like these are people that whether I'm doing Rock of Ages or I'm doing Rents or I'm doing In the Heights or Run of La Mancha, these are people that you get to do shows again. My first In the Heights, my first father, my first theater dad in the Heights, which is Tony Chiroles, we've done already like three different productions of anything. Like we did um Man of La Mancha back in Florida, and we didn't know that we were cast together until like when we got the cast list. And I'm like, I'm going back to like this familiar like person who took care of me in the business. Like when I started doing In the Heights for the first time, he's part of the original Broadway cast of In the Heights, and I'm here like I'm working with big people, but then kind people. And I think we as actors in a way gravitate towards those people. I mean, we still one of my longest like or many of my longest friends that I have, we did the Rent 20th anniversary tour. Like we will still show up for our birthdays, even though everybody's like in different corners of the world. They will always show up via text or like via like showing up like there into your birthday. And it's really cool that like there's that bond that happens outside of like just the actual script that you get to experience with these people. It could be the most like it could be just a cup of coffee, and then it opens a portal of many conversations. And again, to this day, I mean, I was texting two of them like earlier this morning about the callbacks that we were experiencing, and it's like it would be nice to just book a show together, like just book us all together. Like
Yeah.
we're the perfect trio. Please just book us together. Like it's just one of those conversations that you have, and it's amazing. But we get to in a way give each other that comfort of like we know how this business is, so we're able to balance that. But there's always that part where I have to go back home and visit my theater friends from home too, because it's like I want to remember that time, or I want to continue to get that spark. Because like when you leave the place that gave you so much, you want to do right by them. Uh, my parents, my family, my friends, you drop so much. I left everything that I had to come and pursue acting. So I'm the only one in my family that lives in the state in New York, I would say, in New
Wow.
York, and the rest of my family, closest family, is still in Puerto Rico. So every time that plane departs from PR, those tears are falling because it's like you're here to do to make your dream come true. You're fighting and it's happening, and One day you're gonna get the big break. One day it's gonna not be that great, and you still have that community to fall back to.
Absolutely. And I think it's beautiful that you get to go back sometimes to visit and sometimes to be in productions. So how
Mhm.
is that? Because so the Rock of Ages, were you in that production with Dee Dee?
Yes.
Yeah,
This
she
so
said that crowd was
that was our
incredible.
first production. It was insane because it's not, that generation did grow up with the 80s music. So as soon as you heard that first strum of the guitar and the guitar solo just or soloist walked in the middle of the stage, it was a full rock concert. And everybody was cheering, everybody was having fun singing the songs. Like it was, I think because I'm so used to crowds being quiet until they don't have to be quiet versus Puerto Rico is like, let's go. Like it's ready to give you, and that energy that you receive is like we're doing the show. Like we're actually committing to doing the show. And this is like my third production with Dee Dee. Like this year itself. We did Rock of Ages, then we did In the Heights, and then we did Rent. Uh,
Uh,
so it's been that she's one of the most like kind-hearted humans. So freaking talented. She's so talented, but she's so like we have our feet on the floor. Like we have to stay grounded because this business can tear us apart. And sometimes I'll be like, Dee, this happened in this audition. I just don't understand. And I'm just crying my eyes out. And she's like, Nana, just let it go. Just let it go. Next up, next. Like you said, she pushes you forward. She propels you forward. Thank you for the theater gods, theater world, and Marco Santana for bringing us together because those are the people that see that we're capable of doing not only theater, but we're also good energy with each other. So that's what directors at the end of the day seek. That are they able to get along with other people other than doing the show?
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's so important then when you're not on stage to have these connections, these friendships, these
Hmm.
long-lasting relationships that can really help you keep going. I think
Hmm.
that's the main point, knowing that you're not alone in this, that your experience and the hardships, it's not solitary. It's not just you. And there is another day. There is another audition. You're going to keep going. You are meant to be in those rooms. And it's easy for us to forget that. But I think surrounding ourselves with the right people is really helpful. And I know, mentioning a bunch of the productions you were part of, it seems like you had some great experience and long lasting friendships. And I'm wondering if there's
Hmm.
any particular production you've been a part of over the years that has been especially fulfilling for you personally.
My first in the Heights. My first in the Heights to this day has been the best experience that I had. It was 2019. It was Portland Center Stage. I remember I was going they were casting for Vanessa. And I went in, so I sang Vanessa, and then they asked me to sing another song. And I was like, well, I have a Way Back to Then from Title of Show, which I consider more like Nina like. And then they call me back, and they call me back as Nina. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because they weren't looking for a Nina. And I did the audition, and I remember it was like 2 hours after the audition, they had given me the offer. But the offer was for Carla. And I'm like, I didn't even sing
Interesting.
Carla. What are you talking about? But it was like Carla understudy Nina. And so the director and the choreographer and the music director at the time moved like the people who were already done because it was a co-pro, so they did Cincinnati, Seattle, and I think Milwaukee, and then Portland had bought that show. So they were bringing the entire cast to that show, but some of them had booked other contracts, so they were just filling up the replacements. And they just shifted left and right. The girl who was playing Carla now was playing Vanessa, so I can play Carla. But then they needed a cover in the ensemble for Nina. But then they saw me as Nina, so they were like, "No, no, no, you're Carla, cover Nina." So that was trippy. And then that's where I got my that was my first like equity gig. I got my equity card through that contract, and then uh we did the rehearsal process. It was like I can't even remember. It was such a like it happened so fast and so quick because by the time I was finishing to learn Carla, second preview, I'm going on as Nina. And I'm here like, what? what do you mean I'm going on a sneak? So I had an entire pudding rehearsal with the director. She's like, you can have the size in like in your hand. Like we'll figure it out as we go with the show where we can place the size for you because it's the first time that I'm doing Nina. Book scenes were fine, songs were fine until the music director goes, okay, so now we're gonna do When the Sun Goes Down. And I looked at him, I was like, what is that? He's like, that's a Nina song with Benny. I was like, oh, okay. And then learned that song right then and there. The coolest thing was like the Nina at the time, she end of the first preview, we're circling up, celebrating, oh, we're gonna go out and whatnot, and she like steps to me with me to the side, and she's like, I'm just letting you know I'm calling out tomorrow, and I'm just letting you know before I tell stage management. And I'm like, oh, okay. So everybody's going to party. I'm going to my room to start studying. And then everybody gets to notice. And all I hear is a knock on my door. Long and behold, it was the one who played Camila, the one who played Abuela, the Benny showed up, the dance captain showed up. Everybody showed up to my room. Just, what do you need? Like, I just need to read the scenes. I don't know this show. But it was the first time that, like, you know how they keep saying swings and then these are the superheroes of the show, and I'm like, we're contracted to do that. I think that that's something that, yes, we save the show, but we don't save the show because that's our job. You're hiring me to do that. But in that on that night, like, it was the cast were my superheroes. Like, they were the ones who were like, what do you need from us to help you succeed? And that for me was like, oh, like baggage that you carry of like jeopardizing the integrity of the show or people's safety, that just went down the drain because these people had my back. And it was the first time that I've ever experienced that. And to this day, it is the best like production of In the Heights that I've done because one, it was my first, but you always want that first to be memorable. And that was my In the Heights. Long and behold, in the future, I ended up doing In the Heights again with the same dad, with the same mom, with the same abuela, with a different director, but we just happened to be doing the same show, them reprising the roles that I met them with, and it was still like I've never left. Like, Didi was the our Nina in that one, and I was part of the ensemble, but it was like it's trippy to see the before and the after and how the consistency of these people continues to be so perfect within the imperfections that the show brings. Like, it was amazing. It was amazing.
That's beautiful, especially for our first experience, because I can guarantee that that's probably not something that happens all the time. That kind of dynamic and that kind of support. So I think it's beautiful that that kind of set the stage for you, because I feel like in a lot of ways it was a sign. It was a welcoming that you belong here. Like, keep
And
going.
that was like my 12th, yeah, my 12th like audition for In the Heights, and I've never got cast. I was like, at that, I remember being in that audition with like my glasses, shorts, my hair up. I was so done. So done. I was like, I don't need to prove to anybody that I'm Latina. Like, what? I don't understand why people are not casting me in the show. And here I am. And now, like, now I'm on my fifth In the Heights. I've done Carla, I've done Nina, I've done Vanessa, I've done Ensemble. Like, and I've worked with many directors that I am very fond of, and I'm happy that I'm able to, experience big names in this industry and still be Latinos and still, support other Latinos and still bring us back and still, every time somebody does it In the Heights, I'm like, I can't wait for you to do it again and again and again. I mean, I'm aging to be Abuela. Like, that's like I'm gonna be playing Abuela Claudia, and that's gonna be my princess track, and I'm so excited.
Awesome. I'm excited for that. I'm wondering because you've talked about doing all these amazing roles, and is there a dream role that you have or a dream production that you haven't been a part of yet but would love to?
I already did Rent, and I've done all the female tracks in Rent, which was amazing. I've done In the Heights, which was another one. I think Wicked would be the one that I'm like, this was the deciding factor for me to like stay. Like, this is the this is the one. But people continue to ask me if I want to do Alphaba, and I was like, no, I actually want to do Glinda. Like, I'm a really good soprano. But I mean, people know me as a beltress, so like, yes, I'll do whichever. But I'd be happy to explore roles that people normally won't see me as, because that's the beauty of being an actor, like molding yourself to be something that people will never think that you would do, you know?
Yeah, and Glinda would be a lot of fun too. I think she's
Yeah,
such a fun, complex type of character to play.
that bubble.
It's funny because it's Wicked season right now, so
I
everyone is
know.
hyped.
I'm so excited. I'm ready to cry again. I mean, I cried on the first one. I can't imagine the second one.
Yeah, and second part is supposed to be even more emotional, so preparing. Uh, I'm curious also now, is there a type of role that maybe hasn't been written yet, or that you would want to write yourself or be part of that you want to see yourself as, or you want to take on?
I just want to do a show where my ethnicity is not the priority, where I'm just a human being doing a show. I feel like we're being boxed in these shows where, like, if I were to count in my hand, like, there's like five, maybe six shows that is for the Latino community. And I just don't want to be typed. Want to be able to do stuff just because I'm good. I know that I can do it, but I need the chance for you to know that I can do it. Me, Paola, I'm very politically inclined. I like to share messages that are a mirror of life. I don't like to be like very campy. That's not my vibe. I can do camp, but I feel more grounded and more myself when the message is getting across and we're both like sharing the tears and the laughter at the same time for whatever reason. And I don't know what that role looks like. I just don't want my ethnicity to just be the reason why. I feel like we have so much to give. And when you box us, it's like you're limiting us to just the one thing. Um, yeah, I don't know what the role is yet, but it'll
Yeah.
happen.
No, I think that's beautifully said. I think that's kind of been the trick, right? There's been a very slow accepting of roles and stories that do have a lot to do with ethnicity. And
Hmm.
there's a complex nature of that, right? Because on the one hand, it opens the door and gives opportunities, and on the other hand, some people see that as, well, that's this kind of show, and they create this box around it as
Hmm.
opposed to, oh, here's a beautiful story, like here's another great
Hmm.
show. And I
Hmm.
think that can get tricky sometimes. So yeah, I think original works is a lot where things should be headed and are headed,
Hmm.
hopefully. I'm hoping that, between all the revivals and adaptations that are happening on Broadway, that we get a lot more original stuff. I think that's where the magic is going to be, to be honest.
I mean, and listen, even when bringing new material, I do work for, when I'm not doing theater, I still work for a theater, and we're always with new material all the time. Everything that they do is just new material. And there was a moment where the entire cast were A-listers, and those tickets sold out quick because of the A-listers. And then this show that we have going on right now is just a three-person play. And it talks about, three generations of women who they all tackle uh the little girl being transgender. And so how does the grandmother cope with that? How does the mother cope with that? How does the mom defend the daughter from the grandmother? Like, it's just those sort of like conversations that we are technically having. And it's a show that I'm like, I see myself in the show. I can definitely do this show because these are things that are common within humanity. Um, but when you start tackling the business with just A-listers, I feel like sometimes you lose the meaning of why we're writing new plays in the first place. Um, I think, like, for example, even last, or no, this year actually, when Real Women Have Curves was on Broadway, I'm here like, they are all new people to this business, to this industry, and they are giving their heart, soul, blood, tears, everything. And I'm here thinking people who are tourists see Real Women Have Curves and they don't like they have to choose. Do I want to do Wicked or do I want to do Real Women Have Curves? Do I want to see Denzel Washington in this play or do I want to see Real Women Have Curves? Real Women Have Curves will probably be a better option, but you still want to see the A-lister. You still want to
Right.
see it's a business. Everything's a business, and they forget about the craft. And how do we sell the tickets? And how do we fill the houses? And how to and I'm like, and then the craft is just forgotten. And so, I mean, Broadway is a beast. It's a beast that's we're still trying to figure out how to break the code and share the information because sometimes you're like, we just need the actual, equation to m- get the end result that these mainstream shows have done. A show like Rent was nobody's, and they became somebody's. Same as In the Heights, nobody's, nobody's, and then they became somebody. Like, why not give the chances to these new shows, whether they're based out of the film or not? Why are you not giving the same opportunity? What is happening? What are we focusing on? So, oh, this business, you love it and you hate it.
And what's so interesting about Broadway is that in some ways it's ever changing and it's always trying to evolve into something to adapt to whatever's happening
Mhm,
at the time. We always hear that, oh, Broadway's struggling, it's struggling, it's struggling. But at the same time, it's still so the same. And that's part of the problem too. So it goes both ways in that way. And sometimes it's difficult, I think, for people to balance the business with the craft. And I think that's the
mhm.
difficult part because I personally think the future is focusing on the craft and marketing that. But,
And
you
like
know,
even
there's a
in
lot of old ways.
yeah, at the 2016, I want to say. I think that's when Hamilton came out, or Hamilton won all the 16 Tonys, all the Tonys that were nominated for. But those Tony Awards, it was like Color Purple. Hamilton, I think On Your Feet was in this too. It was the color. It was PLC galore. It was people of color everywhere. Where that's where I was like, oh my God, Broadway is possible again. It's happening. Yes, it's happening. And then the next Tony Awards came around. I'm like, what is happening? We had it. It's right here. We had it. We had it. Uh, so yeah, it's like it's also very I'm gonna say it, Broadway's very white, and it's like there's so much talent. There's so much talent. Just give them the chance. Just give them the chance.
Yeah, and sometimes it seems like it only happens when there are POC artists who make it to a certain point and then hold open the door for someone else. And it seems like that's when we get some growth. And that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. And I think we need more of that.
I always like, I mean, listen, I'm fond of this actor. Her name is Bianca Marroquin. I think she is like the our generation's like big names, our generation's Chita and Rita. Like I feel like she in a way has brought in that sort of knowledge of the Chita Rivera and the Rita Moreno, and she brings it up, and then she creates her own persona, her own vibe, her own feel. And I remember seeing her in the building that I work, and I'm like, I literally was starstruck. I couldn't even like say a word to this woman because she has influenced me so much with all she's done. And I remember my first time seeing Chicago on Broadway was with her and Jaime Camil. And it was like the first time that two Mexicans were leading that show. I can't remember if she was doing Roxy or Velma because she rotates. I think it was Roxy. But it was one of those like, this is possible. Like, I just don't understand that she has the formula. She's doing a lot of great work, but then she just comes and goes, like it's like she's bouncing all over the place and I'm glad that she's booking and doing all the things that she needs to be doing. But she's an inspiration. She's one of those people that like she can do Sound of Music, but she can also do Anita and West Side Story. You know what I mean? Like she can balance it all out.
I think that's part of the magic too. Seeing someone do it and then realizing, oh, this is possible. Like I can do this.
And
And
she's
you know,
me.
it's
Like
funny.
she's like,
Well, exactly. You said about bouncing around, and I'm thinking you were just bouncing around this year. So I'm curious then, what is there, or okay, how can I word this? Is there a piece of advice you would want to tell your younger self before you started to perform?
don't stop dancing. I stopped dancing out of fear, out of I in one of the shows that I did, this choreographer told me I couldn't. And so my brain went into I couldn't. Going back to like I think Marcos Santana is the one who's like who has pushed me a little bit further forward. And even the last In the Heights that I did, I was part of the ensemble. I'm usually your park and bark girly. I'll sing as high as you need me to. And then I was challenged by Marcos Santana to dance Ricky Tripp's choreography. And I've never in my life thought that I could possibly go and do a Ricky Trip choreo. Like if Ricky saw me in the audition room, he would have said thank you and goodbye. But that man was so patient with me. And I remember like it was a step in the show that he was like, come here. And I literally went, oh my God, I went into full tension mode, like I can't do it. It's not gonna happen. Oh my God, he's putting me on the spot. Like I was so anxious. I did the step and then everybody was like clapping and applauding and he's like, see, you got it. Don't waste my time. You got this. And I'm here like, oh, don't do this to me again. I hate being on the spot. Me and the theater world hates to be on the spot. But no, this choreographer years ago sort of like messed with my psyche and then I just stopped. I just believed that I couldn't do it. Mind you, when I was in circle, I was like in the advanced dance group, like turning and jumping and doing all the things, stretching all the time, taking classes at 6:37 in the morning because that was the time that we could do class. Um, and that I think that's the one thing that I would tell myself, don't stop dancing. And I may go back to dance classes. It's just my body doesn't move the same way anymore. I'm more like I'm more prone to injury at this point. But I think that would be the one thing. The younger self, like, don't stop dancing. Because you love to dance, so don't stop dancing.
Yeah, which is amazing because it goes to show that the idea of how someone else can affect you goes both ways. They can inspire you to go
Mm,
on this path. They could also stop you from continuing with something and deeply affect that.
mhm.
I know I also had the same thing. I think I used to be a lot more outgoing and I would like dance in front of my family or sing or do things and you know, different occurrences like made me more insecure and hide away and not try things. And so hearing that from you, I'm like, you need to dance and dance for you. It's a muscle. So whatever you're feeling like, I'm not gonna be able to move like you'll
Right.
get there. It just takes some time. I just wanted to ask, is there a piece of advice you would give to others who maybe want to pursue their dreams, whatever that may be, but feel the loneliness of that and how huge it is and kind of overwhelmed
Can
by
you
it?
repeat that one more time? You broke up. You
Yeah,
broke up.
what
Can you
advice
repeat
would
that
you give
question
to
one more time?
those? Yeah, what advice would you give to others who may feel the overwhelming nature of having a dream and pursuing it and how lonely that journey can feel sometimes?
Listen, I moved here and that's the first thing that I felt, loneliness. Even though I was with a roommate that was from Puerto Rico, still there's this at the end of the day you're so alone in this business. You're always going to be alone. You're the one who would either cheer for yourself or suffer within like or I would say cry it out if you need to, because sometimes we hold that and we like become very angry. Stop comparing yourself with other people. Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that. Don't like you are you. It sounds so cliche and it sounds so like but I don't know. It's to just don't compare yourself to other people. You don't have the same talent and they don't have your same talent. Like it just stop comparing yourself. But also find the time to do stuff that is not related to art. Take a walk through the park. That's art. That's already art. Just looking at the trees and like feeling the wind, like that's art. That's living. We have to remind ourselves that life continues on. Something I regret is not traveling as much as I want to because I feel that I'm gonna miss on the next job. And the job will still be there, but life will continue on. So I remember, I think it was like the first 2 years in New York that I barely went to Puerto Rico. If I'm not in Puerto Rico at least every 6 months, I just can't do it. Like at least Christmas, I need to be home because I remember the first time that I went back and my dad had gray hair, my soul dropped because I'm like, time is fleeing, like time is going, and you're making yourself so boxed into booking the next thing when life can that can hold. I've seen people who put that career on pause to live, get married, have children, and then when they're ready to go back, they go back. So it's allowing yourself to live. Time is very short. So no day but today.
It's true though. And yeah, I think it's slowing down and not
Yeah.
forgetting to live. Is
Mhm.
there anything that you are currently working on or have coming up that you're able to talk about?
I don't have anything lined up. I am living, which is wonderful. I am auditioning a lot. I love her. I love my agent so much. I have a really great agent that we butt heads, but we also at the same time respect each other so well that when she sends me to the right stuff, I'm like screaming that that yes. However, now because of the experience that I've gotten, I'm now being seen by directors like multiple times, like the same director. Listen, Marcos is like in my resume, and I told him like one time, I was like, "You're literally the back to back to back to back," because this year was the Marcos Santana year, and he's like, "Don't put me like in order," and I was like, "No, I'm putting you in order because it says a lot that the same director calls me back, and like literally, I'm doing shows back to back to back with you." It's like, no, but like mix and match, and I was like, "No." It shows consistency. It shows work ethic. It shows that you like me as a performer and you're putting me in different realms of the show. Like what I like is like if we have done a show already, Rent, for example, if we have done a show already, the first time we did Rent, I was playing a role, a different Lexi Darling. And then in this second time, I'm just playing Mimi's mom. Like it's just he's just switching me off because he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna give you the same role all the time. I'm gonna challenge you. I'm like, great, that's amazing, and that's why you're still on my resume. You know what I mean? But and then I get to see him again to do another show, and I'm like, I get to audition for him. This I love that my agent will submit me without knowing that this is the same director. I'm like, you need to understand that wherever this man goes, I go. Like I have to go. Like I have to book the job. Like I have to get it because he's a teacher, he's a human, he's a dad. So you could see all of those meshing and at the same time challenging you to he'll let you figure it out first and then when you can't figure it out, then he'll challenge you more and like ask the questions as then treat you as the director that he is. I don't have anything lined up other than auditioning. I did finish about a month ago a short film that was written by a Puerto Rican writer. It's for children at around 4 to 6 years old, and it talks about the resilience of El Coquín, which is the national like toad that we have in Puerto Rico. And, it's teaching kids how to deal with natural disasters. So we talked about the film is like 7 pages long. It's such a short film, but we I got so emotionally invested because I've lived it, I've experienced it, and so how do I teach kids that everything's going to be fine? How do we teach resilience at this like very young age that we may lose everything because of a natural disaster, but life has to go on. We have to get up. There's always going to be food on the table. But that's one thing that parents do in Puerto Rico is like you will eat, whether it's canned food or cold food, but you will still eat. That's one of the things that I will always be grateful for from my mom. That she's like, we're eating. And that's that was picked up to, I think it's an LA Film Festival next year, so I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
I just haven't heard the final product. They're going to send me the final product so I can see it. But then they're like, the premiere is like in June. If you want to come, let us know. And I'm like, yes, on my birthday, yes, I would gladly go to LA and like watch this film. Like, what? Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see that because that sounds just incredibly beautiful. And I think what you said about teaching resilience is kind of perfect because it's clear that you are very resilient in your journey and everything that you're doing. And you're set up with so many amazing, I think, tools in your arsenal. I mean, you have the talent, but you have all these incredible people in your life that are championing you and supporting you, and you get to support, and I think that that is what's going to propel you forward continuously. So, Paola, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you some more and talk about your journey. I'm so excited for everything you've got coming next. And I'm really hyped to see you perform live one day.
I'm excited too. Thank you for
And
having
everyone out
me.
there, of course, and everyone out there, I hope you feel inspired just like I do and go out there and make some magic. Bye, everybody.